All right, Shalom, Shalom, Barakatah Yahba Shemel Shai, Ba'asham Rakakwadash. Double honors to our apostles and elder bishops here at Great Millstone. Shalom to you, brothers. That's pushing the work in truth with all sincerity. The name of this lesson is Soon You're going to have to choose to step away. All right. Soon you're going to have to choose to step away. Okay. All right. And that's meaning to step away from the world. Okay. Because there's going to be more stipulations, more rules, more freedoms that that you're gonna have to lose, and things that you're gonna have to adhere to, you know, to you know to live in this world. And by living in this world, essentially you're gonna be losing, you know, your life, in the world to come. Okay, and it's very vital that you understand, that this world is headed to absolute destruction, and it's taking everybody with it. You know, through these different, things that they're, seducing people with, and soon again, you're going to have to give up all your rights just to live in a world where you feel safe and secure, you know, and it's happening right now before our eyes. And soon, again, we're going to enter into a different, um, stage of the world where, things are, pretty much being fast forward. The normality or the normal life is, completely changed. You know, um, and we always use like 9/11 as like an example because a lot of things changed. A lot of things changed in the world. You had mass surveillance. You had the authorities, the government calling people, regular people terrorists, and we're coming to that age. Especially now with the rise of AI and data centers. People that are against the agenda of the establishment, they're being, you know, they're going to be called out. Culled, CULLED. All right, meaning basically to be cut off from society and be called, a terrorist or or tech terrorist or something like that. You know, and so the world is moving towards, this its version of utopia, which is really dystopia. And you know they they might be mad that we're bringing out the truth, but at the end of the day, if what I'm saying is true, then you know that's just what it is. It's just true. You know, um, because essentially what we're doing is predicting what's about to take place. And it's by the will and the power of Yahweh Shemel Shai, which is the Lord, all right, eternal, Yahweh the Father, Yahweh Shai, his only begotten Son, all right, and by the way of his Spirit that he has, pushed forward into the earth among his saints, we're able to see these things, okay, and yeah, I mean times of course are getting different. There's a lot of things going on, a lot of things. I just have a little footnotes. I kind of want to just press the button on this one and kind of go in with the topic. The Lord gave me the topic, so I thought only a few precepts, but there's other information that I was running into. Things concerning the elite and where they're actually taking society. All right, and we're gonna have to make the choice. You know, we're gonna have to make that choice, and that choice is the what? All right, here I'm gonna start. I want to start with let's see, Isaiah. All right, because the scriptures say what we are yet this day in our captivity. So what are we? We're captive exiles. Okay, and Isaiah 51:14 it says the captive exile hasteneth that he may be loosed, and that he should not die in the pit. All right, and actually when you go into this word pit, it means system, which is perfect for this lesson. Oh, excuse me. All right. And let's see if we can draw that out really quick. All right. Here the word pit. Okay. It says a natural or man-made depression in the ground. So man-made depression, which means a hole. All right. So let's see. It says to cut, strike, stamp. Uh, Meaning abode of evil spirits, hell. Look at that. Yeah. And that's what America is. It's a pit. It's a pit. Okay. Meaning very small depression or dent in the surface of an object is from early 15th century, an anatomical sense of natural depression or a hollow in some part of the body. So, yeah. So, yeah, you got a lot, you know. Let's see here. Check this out. It says part of a theater on the floor of the house. And when you look at America, it is a theater, you know. It's exactly what it is. It says lower than the stage. It's from 1640s. The sense of the part of the floor of an exchange where business is carried on. Yeah. And in America, there's a lot of business being carried on, right? And that's capitalism. All right. We know capitalism is a trap. Okay. And we're at the essentially the bottom rungs of capitalism, which, you know, you have individuals who capitalize off of our pain and suffering off of us daily. Okay. So I mean, it's a lot of ways you can draw it out, you know. So well, yeah, let's continue. All right. So right, the captive exile. That's what we are. You know, we are yet this day in our captivity, that he may be loosed, right? Because we're looking to be loosed. We're looking to be set free. You know, and this is exactly hell. You know, as the pit will put it. You know, all right. It says, and that he should not die in the pit, nor that his bread should fail, right? Because if you lean on America, all right, and let's say you find, you know, a place of dwelling in that pit, you know, where there ain't really no guarantee that you'll survive in that pit, okay? So let's go into the Hebrew word for it, because we just looked on the Edamon online. So the Hebrew word is shachath, shachath, all right, which corruption pit. See, and we have a system of corruption. We have systems of corruption. Pit, destruction, ditch, grave. Okay, see, this is figuratively destruction, corruption, destruction, ditch, grave, pit. Right, and that's what this is. All right, America. Okay, and at some point you gotta, you know, you had to you had to step away. You know, because the things that Esau is about to employ in this world is going to be, it's going to be a detriment to your, to your life, to your health, to sustenance alone. All right, they got what they pushing for 6G. You know, and again, you're just going to have to compromise more and more and more. Especially with this, they got digital ID. Which is this that's going to lead to the image. I mean, to the the mark of the beast. Okay, the image overall is that pit. The system, the corruption. Okay, um, but again, you're going to have to constantly sacrifice more and more of your freedoms. All right, and just your individual freedom, your and really your principles, because that's what's at stake. The things that no one can really take from you, you know, um, But Esau is, he's lining you up to take those very sacred things away from you, your principles, your honor, your dignity, your integrity, all of those things. He's shooting for it. He's coming after that, and he's gonna entice you with um, these different pleasures, all right, these different conveniences in the world, all right. So it's a war on your psyche and your soul to essentially take your soul over, man. And that's why we're prompted to flee. All right. Jeremiah 51:6 is flee out of the midst of Babylon and deliver every man his soul, be not cut off in her iniquity. All right. For this is the time of the Lord's vengeance. He will render unto her a recompense. So the Lord is about to essentially pay this world back for the things that they have done, for the evil that it has wrought, for the souls that it has, killed, and all the harm that it has done. All right. And I mean, at this point, those who understand and who've been following, who know, is that, you know, as time goes, you lose a bit of, more love for this place. You lose, you become more hateful of this corruption. You know, because whether you like it or not, whether you're paying attention or not, this place is corroding. All right, Isaiah 14 and 4. All right, and it says, "Thou shalt take, that thou shalt take up this parable against the king of Babylon and say, How hath the oppressor ceased?" Right, the golden city ceased, because the elite, they already lost this place. It's already done. You know, they're just on the verge of lapsing people into the uttermost destruction, which is, this deception of a utopian, establishment. But in reality, really, you're just selling your soul over for a little bit of, for a little pleasure, for a very small time, you know. And of course, they're gonna sell it to you like it's salvation, but it's not. Okay, you got them talking about 6G and how things gonna be so convenient, but it's gonna mess up your whole biology. You know, you got AI. It's the thing now, which is running society. And what is it doing? It's really an efficient way for, people to be oppressed by the elite establishment. Okay. And you got people using AI to make themselves rich, you know, to make their lives more convenient. And they're heavily dependent upon these things. But it's gonna be to their own destruction. All right. So I mean, there's a lot of things I can go into now. I was thinking about this dude, Tristan Harris. All right. So I mean, at this point, I'm just following the spirit. So let's see what we get. All right. See what we get. And it's funny he came up, right? But this dude, was talking about AI and basically how, you know, people are rushing towards it, or they're, building the infrastructure towards it, and not understanding that, you know, uh, this is essentially going to lead to the downfall of society, you know. And hell, I've been running into a lot of stuff lately. And here, let me see if I can find it. um, so bear with me for a second, Salakia. Tristan Harris is an American technology ethicist. All right. I guess he's someone that finds the balance between it all, you know. Um, Let's see what an ethicist is. One who is versed in ethics, right, or who has written on ethics. Okay. Um, a person, especially a philosopher who studies principles governing right and wrong conduct. Okay, and so he has an opinion about AI and the future of AI and how it's going to impact society. You know, so he is a co-founder of the Center of Humane Technology. Harris has appeared in the Netflix documentary The Social Dilemma, and I think I've seen a little bit of that. Um, but yeah, I recommend that you watch that documentary. Because it just goes into how these people, their minds are warped because of technology. You know, and yeah, and the technology is actually destroying mankind. In fact, um, someone asked Claude, which is the AI, all right, platform, right, Claude. So Claude was asked, "What quietly ruined the world without anyone noticing?" The answer will haunt you, right? It says, "What has fundamentally changed?" That's the question was asked, and it goes as follows. It says, "What has fundamentally changed the world for the worse, but us humans haven't realized?" It says here, it says the answer is the collapse of unstructured time. Okay. And specifically what smartphones and algorithmic feeds have done to boredom. You see, there's a lot of boredom. Okay. Because this world doesn't teach you, to utilize your time. Okay. This world just teaches you how to waste your time, have fun, and find pleasure. And that's destroying people, you see. And that's why, it's more imperative now. It's more important to really see where this is going to lead in the long run. Be prudent, actually, be prudent and be able to foresee what the end of all this is going to be. And at some point, you gotta step away, and every one of us has to make that choice. You know, and for the elect, is the time is now more than ever. Because we're seeing, and you should be able to see all the things that's being brought in society that's actually leading you closer and closer to destruction. You know, so the film features Harris in other form. Oh well, again, let me finish this, Salaki. And this is from that question going back. It says the answer is the collapse of unstructured time, and specifically what smartphones and algorithmic feeds have done to boredom. For the vast majority of human history, boredom was not a problem to be solved. It was cognitive state that forced the brain into a mode we now call the default mode network, a kind of mental background processing where you consolidate memories, develop empathy by imagining other people's lives, generate creative ideas, and build a coherent sense of self. When you stared out a window, waited for a bus, or sat quietly after dinner. And now you have these, social media, these platforms who constantly feed you content. And most of the content is folly. And the scriptures say what? Folly is set in great dignity. Okay? Folly is set in great dignity. All right. And let's get this really quick. Ecclesiastes. Let me see. Ecclesiastes 10 and 6. And it reads, it says, folly is set in great dignity, and the rich sit in low place. And right. So the foolishness and the playtime, fun time, bull crap, that's at the that's what society prefers. And that's what they pitch to you day in and day out, because it leads to nothing. Nothing. It leads to emptiness. It leads to a void in your spirit. Okay. It says, "In the rich sit in low place," and the rich are who? The saints of the Most High, the elect. Okay, who have the wisdom of the Heavenly Father. Because really, with that time, as they would call boredom, all right, and that unstructured time is what is supposed to be utilized with wisdom and knowledge, meditation on, you know, um, the law, which that is, the ethical, you know, the ethical standpoint of society, where it tells you right and wrong. It said rules to to separate the right and the wrong. All right, because without the law, we would have never knew sin. Okay, all right, we would have never knew folly. And the scriptures go into that as well. So Salaki, it says, going back to this question, the answer it gave, it says a kind of mental background processing where you consolidate memories, develop empathy by imagining other people's lives, generate creative ideas, and build a coherent self or sense of self. When you stared out a window, waited for a bus, or sat quietly after dinner, your brain was doing some of its most important work. Boredom was, in a very real sense, the engine of the inner life. Okay. And that was important, because of course, um, you would utilize that time or that boredom with meditation, with being able to put things in perspective in life, and your brain could work. Now you're being fed instantaneously all of this madness, all of this folly. All right, and it's only leading to destruction, because you know you got the powers that be, or who are in rulership now, who literally just want people dumb, deaf, dumb, and blind. Okay, and if you do stand up against tyranny and wrongful, the wrongful reasoning, you become what? As the scriptures say, you become prey. All right, you become the object of target. All right, being targeted. All right, because this world is just full of folly, and they don't want the judgment. They don't want righteousness, right? Isaiah 59, I start at 14, and judgment is turned away backward, and justice standeth afar off. For truth is fallen in the street, and equity cannot enter. They have it where, if you are quoting the Bible in certain places, which the Bible, it gives you the law, it gives you, right and wrong, right? Now you can become a criminal, or now they can persecute you, meaning to attack you, you know, and it's only becoming worse, okay? Because the ones at the very top, they're they believe in their own minds that godliness is non-beneficial. Okay, so verse 15, yea, truth faileth, and he that departed from evil maketh himself a prey, and the Lord saw it, yeah, the Lord Yahweh saw it, and it displeased him that there was no judgment. And there ain't no judgment in this place. Okay, it's just pure chaos, and it's more to come. All right, it's more to come. Wait till they implement 6G, right? And you got people that's pushing for these different technologies, but the technologies at the very, it's very infancy, if I can barely say that word, at its very beginning, uh, it can be helpful. It can be helpful to society. All right, but in the hands of wicked men and evil men and malicious, malignant minded men, all right, who are sociopathic, all right, who who essentially they hate the idea of freedom. This thing could be used in for nefarious purpose, for very wicked and evil purposes. To control a population, which the Bible, the scriptures prophesy of that. You know, to bring more pain and things of that nature to this world, rather than bringing healing. But the Lord said He was bringing healing in His wings. Okay, so this is Second Ezra chapter 9, and I'm gonna start in verse 20. All right, right, and it says, "So I considered the world, and behold, there was peril." Right, meaning the word for peril is dangerous. All right, so peril was coming to the world. Behold, peril, which another word for peril is danger, risk, hazard, jeopardy, right? And what's being held at jeopardy? Your lives, all right? Okay, because what? They're building infrastructure for the beast system, which is the data centers, and those data centers are all going to be networked, which is going to create ASI, artificial super intelligence, because they want to reach a godlike level, and they for somehow believe within themselves that AI super intelligence is going to give them all the answers, and it's going to act as God, and it's going to make things perfect for them. And well, really, you already have the perfect law. And the scriptures, explain that clearly. The Bible explains that clearly. The perfect law is the law of the Heavenly Father. All right. All these precepts are just essentially commandments, okay, to how to live. And through experience, these, our ancient forefathers, they tried this word, the words of the Heavenly Father, His law. All right, and it was certain. Okay, it was perfect. Okay, so what they're bringing: danger, risk, hazard, jeopardy, exposure of a person or property to injury. Okay, with what? So I considered the world, and behold, there was peril because of the devices that were coming to it. All right, and when you go into the word devices, essentially it goes into plans. All right, and their ideals. Okay, and here it says device, intent, desire, an express intent or desire, a plan or design. All right, and so what? They're just essentially going to destroy the world. Okay, with these things that they're bringing into them. Okay, they're not going to make the world better. All right, and that's why we're told to flee out of the midst of Babylon. Back in Jeremiah 51:6, flee out of the midst of Babylon and deliver every man his soul. Be not cut off in her iniquity, for this is the time of the Lord's vengeance. He will render unto her a recompense. Okay, and as soon you're gonna have to cut all ties with this place. Okay, so with that, hey, Louisville, this was edifying. I didn't want to go too long because I know they're not, this thing ain't gonna record the whole thing. So I might do a part two. So let's see.